Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Happy Monday. It's a happy Monday for me. I hope it's a happy Monday for you, too. Today is August 16th. You want to know something, guys? I just had a birthday. Saturday was my birthday, and I turned 44. In numerology, fours represent foundation. So I'm expecting it to be a foundational year for me. So for today, I want to talk to you about, I want to give you some advice relayed from another really smart guy who I hope to one day meet, named Matthew McConaughey. There's a few things I love about Matthew McConaughey, but if you've ever had the chance to, and if you haven't, please check him out. When Matthew wins an award, he has a different type of speech that he gives. It's more motivational, for example. So one of his things that he says, if you ask him who is your hero, he is likely to tell you that he is his own hero. But not just his own hero now, his hero is himself in 10 years. Because that's who he wants to grow into. That's who he wants to become. And he has an idea of himself in 10 years, 5 years or 10 years down the road, of who he will be, what things he will be accomplishing, what things he will be doing. And that is who he wants to live up to. And the point about that is, how can you possibly live up to being anyone but yourself? It's wonderful to look at other people and admire attributes about them, but there's no one else that you can truly want to be exactly like, unless perhaps Jesus. But of the people that you know in your current life, there's very, very few people who you wish you could be them in every way, shape, or form. Most of the time, there's things that we really admire about them. But the one person that you truly can become, the one person you can set as your hero, is the you that you aspire to be in 5 years, because that's something you can attain. That is the thing that you can accomplish. And what better hero to have? How better to be motivated than by your own self? And that comes down to everything, really, because when we look at simply happiness in the world and in your own life, you are much more likely to find happiness from yourself than from anywhere else. You can look for it outside yourself, but until you acknowledge it within yourself, even what you find outside of yourself isn't really the true happiness that you're seeking. The real secret to happiness is to be able to find it within yourself. So go Matthew McConaughey on that. Another topic that he has is to be an egotistical utilitarian. That's 14 syllables right there, egotistical utilitarian. Oh, wait, maybe not quite, but something coming up. So what does that mean? To be egotistical tends to mean that you put yourself first. And very often, in fact, maybe more often than not, that is looked down on in our world. We are often taught at church or school or other places that we should put other people first, that we should always be concerned about the needs of others. Now, here's the thing. The two things I just said don't necessarily mean the same thing. Putting yourself first and always being concerned about the needs of others are two different things, and you can do both. That is the idea of being an egotistical utilitarian, because the egotistical person is first concerned about themselves. As it's been said, to thine own self be true, and yet we have a really hard time doing that. I know that it's one of the weaknesses that I've had in my life, and it's a mistake that I've made in my life that has had a lot of impact on me, is that I have not put myself first in many situations when I should have. So once you figure out how to put yourself first, in case you're feeling guilty about that, which, by the way, you can forgive yourself for, you don't need to, because especially you're also going to be a utilitarian. Now, the utilitarian is the person who is truly seeking what is best for everyone involved. By being an egotistical utilitarian, you can put yourself first and still be looking out for the needs of everyone involved. Did your mind just expand? That it is possible for you to put yourself first and still look out for the needs of everyone involved. And here's the thing, when everyone else involved around you is doing better, it helps you too. They say that no good deed goes unpunished, and that can be taken different ways. One thing that we've said before is that when you do something for another person with honest intent, there is no way that good things cannot come back to you unless you absolutely resist them. There's a Friends episode about this where Phoebe tries to do an act purely out of giving with no intention and even no desire to receive in return. And instead what happens is every time she tries to commit an unselfish act, something happens almost immediately without her even trying that gives her a reward in return. And it's hilarious because as these things are happening, she's screaming, "No!" because she was really honestly trying to do something for someone else without getting something back. And the truth is, if you do things for other people with honest heart and true intent, the universe recognizes that you can only give something that you have, even if what you have is care, even if what you have is another person's time and attention. When you give that away, the universe must continue fueling you with your resources. The universe must maintain what you have and even add to it. So the more you give love, care, compassion, time, attention, the more of those things you will get back, whether you like it or not. But it all comes down to the truest intention. We hear that in the Bible too, that if you repeat the same prayers over and over, they lose their meaning. That your prayers should have true intention. Even if you can say the same thing over and over in all your prayers, as long as you mean it every time. But also, why do you need to? Because God is not a frustrated father that you have to tug on the pant leg to get him to do what you want. He heard you the first time. What you need to do is recognize that you will receive all good things in due time. And trust to that, and know that once you've asked, he is already answering, that the solution has already been provided, and you are already on the way to it, as long as you can let go and let him lead you to it. Let him lead you there. And that is true no matter how you interpret God or the universe. So when everyone else around you is doing better, when you do nice things for others, it has to come back to you. If you have intentions to help the people around you, that will definitely come back to you. And this can be in your home. It can be your family. It can be your social group. It can be your workplace. It can be on a plane that you're on around strangers. Anywhere that you are, anytime you are surrounded by other people, it benefits you for them to be doing well. And that could mean something as simple as the guy in the grocery store line next to you being in a good mood. Maybe it rubs off on you. Maybe he makes the clerk happier and then the clerk has a better interaction with you. It can be something as simple as that. Or it could be that your coworker got a raise and wants to take you out to lunch to celebrate. Or it could be an infinite number of things, a number of ways that when the people around you are doing well, you benefit too. So it is in your best interests to set intentions that not only help you, but that also help the other people around you. The point of this, and again, I don't expect you to believe anything I say. If you think this is silly, I challenge you to test it. The only way that you can know anything is true, whether I say it or anybody else does, is if you test it for yourself and receive your own guidance and your own intuition. So if you think this is silly, cool. If you think it goes against everything you've ever heard, been taught, and believed to put yourself first, give it an experiment. Just like I gave it an experiment to give up NutraSweet and found out that my body was much happier without it. Give it an experiment. Try it. And here's how you do that. The first thing you do, step one, is set your egotistical intention, your EI. That means figure out what it is that's best for you. in this situation, in this scenario, something as simple as making dinner. I'm going to make dinner for the family tonight. Nobody's here yet. Nobody's requested anything specifically. I get to decide what I want to make. What do I want to make? And you might have to think about that for a minute, because maybe you haven't chosen what the dinner thing was for so long that you've forgotten what you choose to make. The same thing can be true of choosing TV shows. If you always let somebody else choose the TV show, you might even forget what you want to watch. And in doing that, you lose a little bit of yourself. And that's really sad. One benefit of being an egotistical utilitarian is it keeps you in touch with yourself. When you are meeting your own needs first, you can't not benefit from that. You will feel better. You will have a better relationship with yourself. When your own needs are met, you're going to feel better. And when you are the one providing your own needs, man, that changes everything. So set your egotistical intention. Maybe you decide, I want taco salad. So after deciding that that's what you want, next, you then consider what might be best for everyone else as well. And in doing that, you can then kind of rearrange the blocks of, like the Lego blocks of your egotistical intention. So you have the same thing that you're starting with. You're just maybe manipulating a few things here and there in order to morph that into something that is not only still the best thing for you, but also the best thing for everyone else. So that might be that, Johnny doesn't like taco salad, but he does like quesadillas. So we'll make sure that there's some tortillas there for him to be able to make that. That way everyone can have something that they want without too much extra effort, without too much extra trouble. And again, at the end of this, everyone should be happier if they're realizing it, because you're still doing things for other people. They can't complain that you didn't help them. They can't complain that you were being selfish by putting yourself first, because even in putting yourself first, you still did something that was best for all the people around you. That might be bringing in a plant to your office. You want to bring in a plant to put on your desk because it's going to brighten up your workspace. That's wonderful. The utilitarian part of that is maybe checking with your coworkers to make sure that you don't bring in a plant that someone might be allergic to, and put it in a place that is pleasing for all, or at best, most involved. The idea is to not be one or the other. Don't only be egotistical, because you should put yourself first, but you shouldn't stop there. And you should consider the needs of all the people around you. And ultimately, people will even see over time as you do this that it's the best outcome for everyone. And even people who may have once been angry with you for trying to put yourself first, or actually putting yourself first, in time, they should be able to see the pattern of how things go better for everyone when you do it this way. And if they can't see it, well, that's a different situation. Can you see the difference of how it works if you start your whole project, your intention, with an egotistical intention versus a utilitarian intention? Because you can do the exact same thing where you figure out what's good for everybody else and then rearrange your Lego blocks to also try to fit in some good things for you. And you might end up with some good things for you, and everyone else might end up being happy, but was it the best in the long run? What I'm trying to suggest is that it's better when you start with your own intention, when you look at what's best for me, and then rearrange that to also be what's good for everyone else, not the other way around. Again, test it. I'm not trying to tell you what to think. I am trying to get you to think for yourself. And if you think this is silly, give it a try. Another thing that's really important in putting yourself first over other people is that it prevents you enabling them. If you are enabling someone, it feels like you're helping them in the moment, but in the long run, you're preventing them from being able to help themselves. And this is something I've absolutely been guilty of at different times in my life. We all have been guilty of this at some time or other, and we all have also been guilty of being the one enabled at some time or other. But you don't need to feel guilty because it's not about guilt. The point is not feeling guilty about it, but acknowledging that that's something that you've done so that you can then make better choices, do better things. That's all it takes. And as I have looked back in my life at times that I wasn't happy, some of those very recently, as I've shared with you a few years ago when I was going through a very unhappy depression. And when I look back at those times, that's only one example, I can see in those situations where I was very unhappy that one mistake I was making was not putting myself first. And in part of my own healing, because when you don't put yourself first, you get hurt. That's what happens. You get hurt. And then you have to heal from that. And maybe it's a small hurt, and maybe it's a big hurt, and maybe it's a lot of hurts over a long time, if you're like most of us. And the way to heal from that, guys, isn't to feel guilty about it, isn't to beat yourself up, isn't to blame the other person for demanding that you enable them. The way to heal from that is to recognize that you did it, to recognize that you made that mistake. Specifically, think of one situation, think of one scenario when you know you were not as true to yourself as you should have been. And there might have been other people in the situation, and you might be angry with those people for maybe taking advantage of you in some way, but also recognizing that you allowed them to. Maybe it was relatives asking for money. Maybe it was someone who just needs help with the same thing over and over and over and doesn't want to learn to do it themselves. There's a lot of ways that this can look. And again, we've all been on both sides of it. So you can't even really be angry at the other person for expecting more from you because you've done the same thing. You've expected more from other people as well. And when it comes down to it, when you acknowledge that that was the mistake that you made in that situation, you can even go back, close your eyes and do a mini meditation and play out what you wish you had done. Say what you wish you would have said. Handle that situation in a way that you would wish you had handled it. And you can receive some healing just from doing that. And then, here's the key. Once you acknowledge that you weren't true to yourself, you must forgive yourself for that. And the true way to forgive yourself for that, one way is to go back and do it differently. That's going to help with the healing. Do it differently in a meditation or whatever. Another way is to acknowledge and promise yourself that you don't do that anymore, that you're not going to make that mistake anymore, that even if you're still in the similar situation or same situation where you've done that in the past, that you are going to set boundaries, that you are going to set limits, and that if a situation like that comes up again, you will have something prepared that you will know what to say, that you will have an action that you're going to know what to do ahead of time, so that you can remind yourself, hang on, this is where I need to speak up for myself now. This is where I need to prioritize me. And this is how I'm going to do that right here, right now. And when you're doing that, you're honoring yourself. And when you're honoring yourself, you can forgive yourself for not honoring yourself in the past. And that, my friends, is how you heal. And when you do that, a magical thing happens, because whoever else it was in the situation that you may have had other feelings toward, about anger, whatever, once you forgive yourself, your anger and hurt feelings to and from them, that at least from you, disappear. They go away. And sometimes you have to go back and do that over a few times. Sometimes you might even have to do it in the same scenario more than once until you can truly forgive yourself for not speaking up in that scenario by now knowing that you speak up for yourself now. Even if not as much as you want to, you're getting better and you're making improvements, and you're going to continue to set those boundaries, and you're going to continue to put yourself first. And you can put yourself first feeling good about it, knowing that after you set your egotistical intention, you're also going to set your utilitarian intention. And that, I believe, is when you call it an egotistical utilitarian intention, and that's when it's 14 syllables, and it's best just to call it an EUI. Your EUI is what will carry you on. One question I want you to think about is if you're still struggling with putting yourself first, why? Who told you that? Who told you it's bad to put yourself first? Because your higher self never told you that. Your soul knows that you are the one person that you are here on earth for. That there are other people here that you are here for as well. But unless you're conjoined twin, there's no one else on earth that you're going to spend every minute, every moment with. You came to earth for you. Even if you're a conjoined twin, you came to earth for you. Make progress towards understanding why you're here and put yourself first in doing and accomplishing that. There's a reason why you're here. There's more than one reason. There's a reason right now this minute, and there's a reason right now this minute and continuing on. I've had times when I didn't know that there was a reason I was here, and certainly couldn't figure out what that reason was. If that's where you're at, don't give up. Just realize that you're in a place where you can't find the answer right now, but sometime soon you might be. So ask for help and keep hanging in there. And I promise the help will come. Another quick thing I want to go over, because I've only got just a couple minutes left. One of my favorite mantras lately is, I am grateful to have everything I need. And you can say this in whatever way you need to say it. We've talked about surrender, letting go, releasing attachment to outcome, releasing resistance. In any situation, when you're setting your egotistical utilitarian intention, once you set that, you put it into motion, and then you release your attachment to the outcome of what's going to happen with the understanding that whatever the universe brings you is going to be at least as good or better than what you had asked for, even if you don't understand how it's better at the time. But trusting that whatever, the universe knows more than you. The universe knows all the back roads, knows all the secret stores. The universe can bring to you something just as good or better than what you're asking for if you learn to release that intention once you've figured out what your intention is. Now give it up to the universe to make it better. And in doing that, you have some trust that the universe has your back, that the universe isn't going to let you down. And sometimes it's hard to have that trust if you look around at your life and you feel a lot of lack, if you feel like you're missing out on a lot of things. What's important is to realize that you have everything you need. Maybe not everything you want. And it's okay to want things. Even when you get the things that you want, you're going to want other things. That's great. Don't stop wanting. But recognize that you have everything you need right here this moment. Acknowledge that. Give the universe gratitude for that. Because just like I said, the more, like I said earlier about giving love, care, concern, time, and attention, the more you give, the more the universe must refill your resources. You can only give what you have, and the universe maintains kind of a framework. If you've got this, you're going to keep having this unless you do something to block it or change it. So as long as you have all the things that you need around you and you tell the universe, hey, universe, I have all the things that I need around me. Thank you. The universe is going to give you more of those things, a greater depth and breadth of those things, and even add on to that to give you more of the things that you want as well as need. Find a way to say it that works for you. Say it in a million different ways, all in a row, but recognize, I am grateful to have everything that I need. I have everything I could possibly need right now in this moment. And for that, I am grateful. Find ways to say it. And again, I challenge you, test it. Don't take my word for it. say that, create a mantra, follow that for a month, and see what happens in your life. I bet you'd start seeing changes after a week. Remember, be a egotistical utilitarian like Matthew McConaughey. That's my time. Remember, guys, I love you so much. I hope that something you heard helps you today. Remember, I'm no better than anyone else, and no one is better than me. And you are also fantastic. Have an extraordinary week.